grab a beverage, sit down, get comfortable, hopefully next to your air conditioner, because what even is this? This is ridiculous. So let's talk about some of the things kind of I wish that had been noticed, some things that I wish I knew. We're just gonna talk about what it was that kind of led to the I think I'm autistic kind of a vibe. I was gonna film something a little bit different, but I think this is just gonna be a very casual, comfortable, let's just sit down and kind of talk about some of the things that could have been noticed, that kind of flew under the radar, some of my expectations, some of my feelings, these kinds of things. Now, as always, I do not speak on behalf of all autistics out there in the universe. This is purely me retelling my story. So if I ever say anything and you're like, oh, I don't really vibe with that, go with your gut, right? Feel it out. I've said it before. Leave me a comment down below and please feel free to share your experience as respectfully as you can. Please don't try and rip me a new one in my comment section, just saying. But this is kind of what this is all about. So I don't want to speak on behalf of you. I would like you to speak on behalf of you as best as you can if you are able and feel safe to do so. So again, if you haven't seen it, my autism assessment video is floating around somewhere in the cards or in the description box. And a lot of people were like, well, you don't seem that autistic. Oh, we could unpack that for days on end, couldn't we? Fine, let's talk about it, because evidently I come across one way, but keeping in mind that what you are seeing of me is not only quite edited, but also a snippet. You're sitting with me, I filmed for maybe an hour, if that, and I cut that down to maybe 15, 20 minutes, okay? Sometimes more. You do have to take what I say always with a grain of salt and know that there is very often more than meets the eye, as I'm sure is true for you guys. Things that I did that weren't great. I had a real hard time with friendships. I had a real hard time knowing where I stood with people. But very often, in an effort to keep myself safe, I mimic, right? So for example, I had an intake I don't know, like 2 weeks ago. And she's like, oh, well, you seem quite upbeat and really pleasant. I was like, so I'm just gonna stop you right there. If you like anything about my personality, please know I reflect exactly what you give me. So you're actually quite a pleasant person to deal with, I said to her. And I was like, so that's what you're getting from me. This is just what I do. And that is a very dangerous thing, because there have been many times where I have had maybe a health upset or a health issue, but because I'm reflecting your personality, and if you are feeling good and you're upbeat and you're doing the thing, it's not always something I am consciously aware of. Actually, largely it's something I'm unconsciously aware of, that it's something that I've always done to try and fit the bill. Okay, so that is a sucky thing. So you lose yourself after years of doing that. You kind of stop. You're like, why did I say that? Like, I don't actually agree with that. Like, why did I agree with that? Like, but you want to keep yourself safe, because there have been times in my life where I have let it slip and I have let it go and I have been punished for it. Now, I don't, punished. Are we talking about parents? Are we talking about teachers? Are we talking about friends? Are we talking about situations in general? All of the above, but that's right, punished. I struggle, and a lot of my struggle is internal, as it is for most autistics. You won't necessarily see it. If we are a high masking individual, there's a reason, right? And there was a creator, and I've looked, I can't find it. If you know who I'm about to quote, I'm going to try to quote anyways, please leave a link to that short if you can find it, okay? But appearing mildly autistic does not mean that I experience my symptoms mildly. It means that you do. But that's just the truth. It doesn't mean that I'm experiencing my shit mildly. It means that you are. In my brain and in my body, every single day is a fight. Every single minute of my existence, I am fighting something to keep calm and carry the fuck on. Okay? It isn't, and it's always been like that. It has always been like that. In the few moments when I was a kid where I did something that was just an inherently autistic thing to do, I got in trouble for it. It is what it is. I'm not, like, I'm mad about it, but, ooh, my stomach's growling. I think I forgot to eat. Okay, I'm sorry if you can hear that. We're just gonna try and power through, and then I'm gonna have some food. Don't forget, you also probably need to feed the meat suit and hydrate and all of the things. So please don't forget to do that like me. I knew there was something I forgot to do. But yeah, I'm not, like, I have processed a lot of this now, and everybody's doing the best that they can, okay? it doesn't mean that what happened didn't hurt, and it doesn't mean that what happened didn't suck, but it just be what it be, and we're just talking about it. I also didn't ever really connect with my peers the way that I feel like other kids did. And if I did, it was because those peers were also, like, looking back very clearly, a lot more like me. But largely, I found that I got along better with teachers and older students, like older kids. I didn't really get along with people my own age as easily as I would have been a good thing, you know? I remember I always had problems with things that other kids didn't seem to. Wintertime was always particularly difficult for me. Putting on extra layers, having on extra layers used to give me a lot, and still does, good God. It's not uncommon to see me out in the middle of a snowstorm in a sweatshirt and jeans. Like, I just don't, no more fucking layers, okay, please. But I remember I always had a really hard time putting a sweatshirt on and then having to put my hands through a jacket. That was really not good. And socks in shoes. Oh, socks in shoes. Oh my God, to this day, socks. And also, can I just recommend a brand of socks? Puma. Puma for your socks. Puma for your socks. You will never look back. But that was something that was always like an issue. And it was just one of those things. I was definitely the comfy clothes kind of, I intentionally lost a pair of pants. Don't laugh. I intentionally lost a pair of pants. They were like corduroy. I think they were like from Please Mom or something. And our after school program had like a chest of like dress up clothes. I don't think they do stuff like this anymore for hygienic reasons, but when I was a kid, man, back in my day, and I swapped pants. Like, I swapped pants and lost the pants. Like, I made sure they couldn't be found. I don't know where. There's somewhere on that playground that they were lost forever. My mom was mad. Like, where did your pants go? I fucking hated those pants, man. If you know, you know. Corduroy. But these were things, and they may not sound like big things, but you also don't have the right. And I only share what I share on here because I don't always feel safe to share more. It's something that we're going to kind of work on together, working through some heavier stuff. As time kind of goes on, right? High school was also just nothing but a big bloody struggle. I discovered that, you know, as a kid, people don't really want to hear you talking excessively about things. It's probably why I made a YouTube channel, isn't it? Well, that's probably it. But I kept a lot of the things that were quite interesting to me, to myself. Like, so mermaids, obviously, if you haven't noticed, there's a bit of a theme in my office, okay? And that's my play button for my other channel, Courtney Mermaid, which I'm taking a hiatus from now. We're not gonna just let it go. But I had sort of my best friend throughout high school. We met up. We've kind of lost touch over the years, which is kind of a bummer, but we met up years and years later, and they were like, yeah, so mermaids, huh? Like, I never would have guessed that was a thing. And this was my best friend who knew me pretty well and knew a lot about me, didn't know that I had this like secret, quiet, special interest / obsession / whatever with mermaids. They didn't know that was a thing. And I don't think they knew about the dinosaurs either, really. I mean, that one I was a little, because it felt more normal. It felt more like, well, it's science, right? It's not like fantasy whimsy. So, but dinosaurs was my first real, we could talk about special interests one day. Would you guys like to talk? I would love to hear, maybe we'll do a video and then you guys can tell me about your special interests and we can just have some nice sort of back and forth about that. But it just goes to show you, right? Like, people only know what you share about yourselves and then they kind of fill in the blanks themselves. Anyways, it kind of all comes full circle, right? That friend was later diagnosed with ADHD and kind of had let me know, well, there was a reason that like I used to tap and I used to do these things that used to really piss me off, I used to find really annoying. And at the time I hadn't had my diagnosis, like I didn't get my diagnosis yet. And I felt so like upset and invalid for having a feeling about that. And that's not on them. That's on me in my life. That wasn't their failing as a friend or their problem. And I have no hurt feelings about that. But I just felt like, well, damn it. Like, I'm unjustified then. And then of course I got my autism diagnosis and I was like, ha ha! See, I too was justified. That's a whole other thing that I need to work to unpack, because you don't need that. It doesn't, you should be able to justify that for yourself or make yourself feel confident and comfortable when something is bothering you, to find workarounds and ways to deal with it. Like, if I had known, maybe I would have started wearing earplugs in high school, okay? Anyways, and we did, there's just so many instances of that. Like, for example, I was fitted. So my mom took me to get custom earplugs made, and it was this thing. So she had done the research, she found a place to do it. I can do a talk about that, or I can just tell you really quick. I didn't find them as, in the long run, as beneficial. In the moment, they were essential, okay? But I remember sitting in that room, and they fill your ear with a whatever foamy stuff, and it solidifies in your ear, and then they plug it out, and that becomes the mold to make your earplugs. And when I tell you, it was loud. I don't know if she had her AC going, but there was background noise and traffic noise and office noise and sounds in the floor and in the walls and in the electricity and blah, blah, blah. So she had put this goop, and they do both ears at the same time, and this goop just and all of a sudden, silence. I could hear nothing. And when I tell you, man, I don't remember if I cried, but there was a moment, and then after I took it out, she's like, well, you're going to be one of the, and I don't mean anything mean to this woman. She's doing the best she can. She didn't know. I didn't know either. She's like, oh, you're going to be one of my patients who causes me problems, because you're going to wear these 24/7 and your hearing's going to get all funky and, whatever. And you'll just get more sensitive to everything. Oh, I'll just get more sensitive to everything. Will I? If you don't know, the majority of my life is spent in earplugs or headphones or both. I have ear defenders. I have, you name it. I use earmuffs in the wintertime. So I used to tell myself, not going to use this accommodation, even though it was helping me when I was using it. Love it. I love people. They're so good. They're so great. They suck. By the time I was 25, I had come across a video. It was a channel called Ask an Autistic. I don't know if you've ever found this channel. The pieces were starting to come together, okay? What do you mean everybody doesn't feel this way, or everybody doesn't do things this way, or everybody doesn't I edit out a lot of my long pauses, but what you won't see, and for the people who think that I'm super eloquent on here, or I'm just going and going and going, there's a great spans of time where at this point, we'll see where you guys are at in the video. I've been filming for a half an hour. But these were all things that weren't stereotypical signs, necessarily, as defined from my childhood, what you would have expected, I was shy, and I was sometimes quiet. Sometimes I was loud and disruptive in class. I can't remember if I mentioned it in this video or one of the previous attempts at filming this video, but if you guys would like me to do a read through of some of the comments my teachers left on my report cards, let me know. I do kind of think I might want to do that. I think it would be kind of interesting so that you can know, especially for those of you who maybe remember some of the things that were said but don't necessarily have your reports anymore, to see if things kind of line up, or just to show you what autism looked like in me, what it looks like in me, because I do feel like so many of you who are here because you see something in me, which is crazy, but you see something in me that you see in yourselves that you don't necessarily see in other creators on the platform. So I love that for us. I love that we're finding each other and we're sharing these stories and these things. I just wanted to have a bit of a rambly, let's talk about some of the things, some of those kinds of signs. Things that I see in myself now, and now that I'm aware that these things are not things that the normies are out there dealing with. My extreme sensitivity to sound is not something I see in many of my friends, unless my friends are also on the spectrum. And even in that case, I don't see most people. That was a perfect instance. Is that gonna stop? Get your brakes checked, bud. So I'm sitting here, I hear the air conditioner, I hear the car outside, I can hear the birds as they pass my window. Every time I lean on this, I can hear it. I can hear my nose whistling. I can hear myself breathing and the saliva sticking to my gums and my teeth. These are things that I hear. There's more. I don't want to go through all of it. But my sensitivity to sound is horrendous. It is probably one of my worst traits, I guess, or symptoms of. And it's as simple as putting in earplugs. I had my big muffs on this morning, my ear defenders on, so I'm a little bit sensitive because I was cleaning out the dishwasher. My extreme sensitivity to fabrics and clothing and just what I wear has to be very specific. It has to be very specific and very often oversized. It has taken me years to find tank tops that I can actually wear. Shopping for clothing is in itself, I'm so sensitive to light. So when I'm going out to the mall, and I have to wear sunglasses, a hat, and headphones because now I know that these are the things. Why do you need to know? This is why. If you don't know what's in the can, how are you supposed to accommodate the shit in the can? Like, please. Wow, that just brought up feelings, didn't it? Ugh, there are so many things, okay? What do you think? I just woke up one day and was like, oh, autism. That sounds like a good hat to wear. Sorry, that comment is still just absolutely under my skin. It's just absolutely under my skin. If you don't know, that's better for you, but it was not a good thing. What other things? I'm constantly scripting. I constantly have a game plan. Like I am a mixture of a lot of different things constantly going on. I watch other creators to see how people respond to them. How could I be best for you? Not as much here. On my other channel. Sorry, I should have clarified that. On my other channel. Here, you're getting a pretty good example of what kind of crazy is in this bottle, okay? You're getting a pretty good example of exactly the kinds of things that I say and the kinds of stuff, the kinds of things that other people will see from me in person that should just tip you off. It's so funny. Do you ever get this where it's like, well, you're not that autistic, but you are really weird. Like, the fuck, man? Pick a direction, okay? Because okay, I was always having these moments. And I think in my childhood, we were calling them tantrums. I know as an adult, there's a difference between a tantrum and a meltdown or a shutdown. And I can recognize for myself when I'm just being a bitch and I'm just being difficult, or when I am actually having an emergency, like mental health problem. Like I'm actually having a real meltdown. And a meltdown's not a joke. It's not like I'm just crying because I want to get my way. It's actually, something has happened. There's a connection that has come loose, okay? And we are no longer driving the vessel, okay? We need to pull over, okay? And we need to just reestablish and just get back down to baseline. And sometimes that can look like sitting in the dark, getting under my weighted blanket. Laying down is very often like, and it has happened where I know this now, I know that this is something that helps. And you will see me like out on the trail with my husband and my dog. And I'll be like, and I'll just lay down on the ground. And then he gets the fun job of letting people know that I'm not having a physical medical emergency, that I'm just resting for a minute. And I'm fine. So my sensory experience is being largely the problem because I can fake a good human interaction if I really have to. Like I know what you want to see. I know what you expect. I know the amount of eye contact to give. I have a pretty good idea of what will get us all on the same page. Working in customer service was a good experience for that. You know, I have an idea, but it is a lot harder for me now that I've hit burnout. It is a lot harder for me to maintain that. And to do that, and I don't anymore. So most of my friends are now pretty accustomed to us having a conversation, and instead of me looking and making dead eye contact, I'm just looking over here. Don't ask me to make eye contact. When teachers did that to me in elementary school, look at me when I'm talking to you. I think I just spat. Because it's rude not to. And it's like, okay, well, good. Now I'm making absolute eye contact with you and I'm not hearing a damn thing that you're saying. So good. I hope you're happy. But I, generally speaking, was like, I came across just like the weird kid. I had friends that told me that when I switched elementary schools. I switched elementary schools in grade 3. So grade 4, I started a new elementary school. But kindergarten to grade 3, they had me pegged. Like they had me pegged. And I found out about it at a bat mitzvah, actually, that I didn't know I was going to have mutual friends friends, thank you for calling me a weirdo to my face. But they were like, yeah, you left before you could really fix that. Like, they were like, yeah, we all thought you were so weird. They said this to my face, this person. How nasty. Why did you do that to me? That hurt my feelings. Anyways, maybe you remember it differently. I don't know, but I just remember being like, oh yeah, like I was such a weirdo, wasn't I? With the cat meowing and the, you know, and pretending to be an animal all the time and, you know, being a bit pushy and a bit loud and a bit strange. It's the reason why we need to know. And I know that that doesn't make sense to everybody. And you might not think that a late diagnosis is valid. I remember more of my childhood than I do of my 20s. Because that's where it started. I am still replaying and reliving things that were traumatic for me that hurt deeply. And it's not, it is what it is. I will have to work through this because there are some instances where this isn't going to be something I can resolve with anybody but myself. You can see it, man. Even when Facebook, and I'm not really on Facebook, short of keeping in touch with a few friends who still like to use Facebook, but when Facebook memories pop up from all the way back to like, I don't even know when I got on Facebook, it was like 2008, I think, whatever it was. I think I was still in college. And those memories popping up and me being like, whoa, like that was an alarm. That was a sign. That was a symptom. Holy fuck, did you really say this on the internet, you Looney Tunes, Magoo? Like, what the hell? You know, because the further along the line I've gotten, the more I can recognize like what is deemed as appropriate behavior and what is like what's considered appropriate and what's not. And it took me a long time to kind of come to terms with all of that and now recognize that what's normal for me isn't normal for everybody else, but what's normal for everybody else isn't normal for me. And I have just as much right to exist on this earth as everybody else. And same goes for you. I think about this a lot, like the purpose in life, like what's my purpose? What's my point? You guys are helping me find it. But when it comes down to the bare bones, the bare minimum purpose of life is to live. That's your life's purpose, is to live, is to exist. So what do I have to prove? And how should my life be have any less value or meaning than anybody else's just because I have to live it a little bit differently to accommodate my needs? That's a whole other topic. So I know that you guys have been enjoying the kind of rambly. I'm having a lot of anxiety about this video just because it is so all over the place and so rambly, and I know that that can be difficult for a lot of you as well. I've now been filming for 40 minutes, so I am curious to see how long this video is in terms of what I kept and what I cut so that you guys can have an idea of how much it is that I actually show you in my videos. I don't want to be too structured. Like, there are a lot of amazing channels, like autistic channels out there with a lot of these informational videos that are a lot more concise and more direct than mine. I kind of want to keep this as a chat between friends. You and I are sitting, we're having a video chat, we've got our waters, we've got snacks, hopefully. I'm so hungry, oh my God. So just know that wherever you're at on your journey, okay, this is a safe space for you. Just feel held in this space. I don't want anybody to feel like they're less valid because I'm sharing my experiences. I want to hear from you. I may not reply to everybody, but I do read every single comment, good, bad, or otherwise. So comment down below. Let me know where you're at, how you're doing, any thoughts that you had on today's video. I love and appreciate you so much, and I really look forward to our next sit down. If you would like to join me on a more regular basis, I am live streaming on Twitch, Courtney Literally, link in the description box down below. If you want to hang out with me, we play games. The autism conversation is welcome to continue over there. Don't feel bad about bringing something up. You know, I love to talk your ear off about all kinds of things. And otherwise, thank you for being here with me and for seeing me and for giving me a space to share my story. Okay, I love you and I look forward to catching you all again in the next one. Bye for now.